Good morning, students. A very, very warm welcome to today's session. Today, we are doing business correspondence and reporting. The topic for discussion today is note making. So I'm eagerly waiting to meet you all. Last sessions were really good. I've got a wonderful response from all of you. So welcome back. I can see some students. Krishna is here, Hana, Mr. Om Gupta and Richa. Okay, great. So I'm still waiting for some of you to join and then we'll quickly start what is note making. I hope by now all of you have started having a look at the study material, the ICAI study material, which is a must. You cannot afford to not see the study material. That is like the Bible for your studies. Secondly, I expect all of you to do a lot of practice when it comes to reading different variety. We already discussed that last class. Today, now we're going to do note making, which is also a part of, reading and then coming back with some very important notes. And as students, I think we have been making notes endlessly when it comes to exams, when it comes to certain difficult topics. So note making is something which we are very, very fast at, but just that when we do it in this area, we have to do it in a little more formal way because it's a question on note making. So when you are attending a meeting, how will you do a note, etc. Okay. So now I have a bigger audience. I have Shreya, Prakriti, Harshita, Jignesh, Pavitra, Rishika, Dhruv. A very good morning to all of you. Manisha, Palak, I can see a lot of students whom I met last class. Karthike. Okay, very, very good morning. Nice to have you all back. Sahana, you can check this on the website about the exam dates. Yes, the paper is in December, so you all know that. You've already seen the date. So start gearing up. Exam or no exam, your language, your English should be perfect. So the business correspondence paper, according to me, my name is Pal. Okay, Jignesh Pathak, your name is Pal and your name reflects as that. So I'm sorry for that. I'll call you Pal now. Good morning, Kriti. Good morning, Savio, Rohani, and Rene. Great. So when you prepare for the BCR paper, please remember this is not a preparation which is only limited to the exam. BCR topics are going to help you every time you appear for an interview, you stand in a seminar, you address an audience, you are doing a public meeting, you are having a private meeting, or you're doing a presentation. Any such kind of communication form where you have to speak and you have to write and you have to listen, the BCR topics are going to be very, very helpful. So I'm repeatedly saying, don't just take this as a paper which you have to attempt and pass with 40 marks. No, it's something which is going to stay with you long term. So please take it that way. Okay. So after having done the reading comprehension, I realized that you are a wonderful batch. You are a very studious batch because everybody was answering so well. You were being very obedient. You were actually trying to attempt all passages, which is a very good thing. Just that you need to keep doing this regularly till the exam. Don't wait for the last day to come because this paper also involves an extensive study. Please look at the practice questions. Please attempt the mock test papers. Please attempt the revision test papers. The answers are provided. The guidelines are provided. You will understand how many lines to be written for a note making. What is the difference between a note making and a summary making and a précis writing? Everything will be clear. See, the problem is, we just have 2 hours. Okay, so in 2 hours, my main agenda is that I'm able to explain to you the topic and I'm not going to deep dive into the minute details. For that, it will be good if you start practicing your papers, mock papers. Okay. So after so many good mornings, I'm so glad I see a big audience. Thank you so much for being part of the session today. Palak Agarwal, you can send previous chapter lectures. How do I send them to you? They'll be all uploaded. You can have a look. Yes, Shazia, reading is always helpful. It'll definitely improve your English as long as you're reading something good. If you're reading something very, very silly and very, very basic, then your English will always remain at that level. But if you want to raise your level, if you want to raise the bar, then you should be reading something which is relevant to your age and your curriculum. That is more important. Okay, fine. So, okay, good morning, Nishi. This is your first class. Welcome to my class. Any other queries? Fine. So we are now going to discuss reading comprehension. Prutha, what is relevant to you? This is a note-making class. This is anyway different from what we did last time. So why is it not going to be relevant to you? Every topic has its own importance. So even if you join the first part or the second part of it, you're going to learn something. Okay? And please don't miss classes because it takes a lot of effort and time to actually come and get these classes in place and help you understand the topic. You should read everything and read everything. Okay, Pooja? You're reading a newspaper, Sakshi. Very good. So Times of India is a good choice. As long as you start reading regularly and you are spending some time with the print, I am fine with it. Okay. Okay, so today we are doing note making. Now, finally, first of all, tell me how many of you make notes generally, not before exams. Some people have a habit of making notes only during exam time. Some people have a habit of making notes throughout the year. So, how many of you, just give me a yes or a no? Yes for throughout the year, and sometimes for during the exams. Quickly. Hey, thank you so much, Sneha. You are also one of the good students of my class, which in turn affects my speaking. Akib. See, Akib, it should not matter about your grammar. If you don't speak, you will never learn grammar. So to understand grammar, to understand the basics, you should be practicing speaking. If you simply hesitate that, okay, my grammar is going wrong, so let me stop speaking, how will you actually learn? Let there be somebody in front of you who can correct you. Come and speak to me if you want to. I can correct you. I can help you with, this is the way you need to say a language. This is the way you need to speak a sentence. There are so many language courses which you can learn. So there are ways, it's a very, I wouldn't say it's a very small thing. It's a big thing to discuss about how to improve your speaking skills. And this probably is not the right platform because I have other things to take care of. Okay. Rich dad, poor dad. Okay, good. That's great. Okay, Mansi and Apurva, they've made notes. Very good. Nishi does. Shreya and Karan also do. Apurva does. Emmanuel, why not? Karthik, okay. Darvish, Tejal, okay. All of you make notes. Wonderful. So I think you should be taking the class for note making. I listen about how you make notes. So what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you think this is important? How do you think you make the notes? Are you using all colorful pens and you're underlining and you're highlighting and you're making nice borders and you're making flowers around the notebook? Is that how you make notes? Okay, Manisha is making notes only during exam time. Fine. Even Pratima, even Mehek. Okay, Saurav says a big yes with like 5S. He's written yes. Sanjana throughout the year. Okay. Prem, you do it sometimes. Aniket does it sometimes. Okay, Sia, that's a good book. Okay, Ruhani does it only for practical subjects, not for theoretical subjects. Okay. Rishika during exams. Sneha does it and she's showing me the notes also. She's showing me some books she's put as emojis. Okay, Leadership Wisdom by Ramin Sharma. That's a good choice. Sahana, highlighter and flowcharts, bullet points, colorful notes and beautiful notes, simple blue and black pen, only key points. Okay, great. So Akib is doing only key points. Now, why I'm asking all this is, when we are doing notes which are for self-study, which are going to help me in my preparation, we are allowed to do anything. We are allowed to play with colors. We are allowed to play with designs. We are allowed to play with anything. But when it comes to official note making, suppose you're taking down notes in an office, your seniors are dictating something, or your boss has asked you to make notes for some meeting. In that case, you cannot have these colors, you cannot have these flowers and butterflies around you. All that is not possible. Then we have to learn something which is hardcore template based formal official note making. Okay. So I'll share my screen and I'll show you how does note making happen. We'll start. Okay. Is the screen visible? Can you all see my screen? This is the first slide about note making, which is generally considered to be a tool for learning. Okay, good, Darvish, because these abbreviations are really going to help us in note making, because when we do notes, we also use abbreviations, and towards the end of the abbreviations, we have to make a chart, or we have to make a list of the keys. It's called a key, where we are going to tell what abbreviation stands for what word, because these notes are meant for personal use. So I don't say you have to use standard abbreviations. Anything can be shortened to any number of letters, but that has to be mentioned towards the end. Okay. Yes. Okay. The screen is visible. Thanks, Akshata, Harshita, Mansi, Devansh, everybody. So this is a simple understanding about why do we need to use note making as a tool for learning. One, that it makes understanding better, because if you have like 500 pages to read out of a book, and if you shorten them down, if you filter out the most important things, your notes come out to be maybe 200 pages, which is still 300 less. So for a better understanding of the topic, it's always advisable to make notes. But remember, we don't make notes for all topics. I've generally seen students making notes for topics which are either lengthy or difficult to understand. Okay. Second, for more concentration. Again, when you have, remember when you have these social studies book, which goes on and on, chapters like French Revolution going on till 50 pages, it's difficult because you might tend to lose your focus. The concentration wavers. But if you have a limited content to read, which you have written on your own, definitely it's a better idea, because the retention power is higher when you're writing your notes on your own. Saurav says, I try to understand the topic in Hindi, then I translate it in English, then I compare my answer and understanding to the book language. Then I try to learn that in the book language, and with a little effort after learning, I try to write the notes. Okay. So that's a very stepwise description Saurav has given about how he's making notes. This kind of note making is probably easy when you're doing your study material notes. Or when it comes to later stages, the one where I am talking about, then maybe you need to shift from these stepwise learning. Vast. Hitesh, what is the question? I didn't get you. Vast. Okay, Somili says there is use of bullets, underlines, and highlighters. Very good. Okay, great. Fine, let me continue. Third is easier access to content. This again is a fact very often stated by students, that there is so much to see in the books that we fail to figure out where exactly the answer for a particular question is. So the access becomes easy because everything is in a much more shorter, crisper, and a filtered way. So if you have like 10 pages and you're reducing them down to a concentrated version in 2 pages, definitely is a good idea. Okay. Swiftness in learning, because you're just focusing on the important part. So all that gets learned easily, especially if it's act, if it's sections, if it's years, all these things, get into your mind easily, because everything is in just one place concentrated. And last but not the least, you have simplified a vast ocean of content. The number of pages, the number of books is just like as vast as the Indian Ocean. So what do? I can't just get drowned in the ocean. So for that reason, I am going to be very, very particular about what do I need to study? What is the relevance of this particular topic? What weightage does this topic have? And then accordingly, I'll spend time preparing notes and learning them. Okay. Ananya, I haven't seen a question by you. Okay, yes. What should I do to get rid of this ashamedness and get started with studying again? I'm sorry, I did not get your question. What do you want to get rid of? Can you please type again? It's a time-consuming process, but in this process, half the work is done because you've already read the books, you've already read the content. So if not 50%, at least 30% of the content is already in your head because you're writing it with your own pen. So that's the good part of it, Akib. Okay. The Magic of Lost Temple. Okay, fine. You don't have to share all the books with me. It's perfect. I know you all have started reading. Whatever books you are reading, you are smart enough to understand it's for your level. So Please, I'm requesting you, don't keep sending me the names of books you are reading. It's fine. Harshita, your message is like, spamming the chat box now. It's coming 5 times. Savio, it is like Pressy writing. I wouldn't say no, but there is a different style we follow for Pressy and for note making. Okay. Okay, so Shazia says she makes notes and she makes flowcharts, which are very easy to understand. Yes. So one thing you should understand, note making should be simplified, should not be a more complicated process. The moment you make it more complicated, then the whole purpose of making notes is dissolved. Okay. So note making can involve like you said, flow charts, it can involve pie charts, it can involve bar graphs, it can involve Venn diagrams. All this really helps in making your notes more interesting, more attractive, and easier access. Okay, fine. Yes, Shamili, most of it will be there. I think all the PPTs are uploaded on the BOS portal, so you can have a look. Okay, yes, Priya, your message is visible. Let me just check. I'm getting all messages, but the messages come so fast, I might just have missed yours. I've got this message of yours, Priya, where you're asking whether your message is visible or not. But before that, if you send something, I'm sorry, I didn't get it. Yes, Vidisha, when it is a complicated topic, she's so right. The notes are actually helpful. Yes, Yashwant, quite similar to what you have written. Is there any particular box used to make note while writing an exam? Mohammed Saqib, Shoaib, sorry. So Shoaib, I'm not talking about note making during exam because this is a particular topic. So there is a format or there is a template you have to follow for note making. So box or no box, you will come across to see your own rough notes. I don't care whatever you make. It's perfect as long as you're making good notes. Okay. Muskan, it's obvious that you start with something easy and then you raise your level and move on to something difficult. If you start with something difficult, then you lose the momentum, you lose your interest, and you won't study, you won't read. So it's advisable that you start with something easy. Fatima, we are just towards the beginning of the note making session. Give me some time towards the end when we are almost over. You will have the template. And just to tell you, note making is divided into 2 classes. So don't hurry, don't jump to conclusions. We will definitely be discussing everything. If not today, then in the next class, which is going to happen on Saturday. Okay. Any doubt in this screen, you may put your queries. Otherwise, I'll move forward. ध्रुव आप क्लास में नहीं थे अभी तक? This is my first screen and I've discussed everything. Still, if you ask me note making matlab, what do I assume? Is this a question you were just asking for maybe, disturbing, or you actually don't understand anything? Please tell me that. Thank you so much, Sulakshana. That's a wonderful comment I'm getting for my voice. Okay. Ananya, there is nothing to worry. It's not about the money you spend. It's not about the failures you face. It's about the hard work you are putting in the classes and the fact that you have a will to win. If everybody in your class starts thinking the same way that, maybe we failed sometimes, we couldn't manage the course, we've paid a lot, then there'll not be anybody clearing the CA exam. It's an exam where you have to give in your whole and your soul, and you all are doing a wonderful job. The only thing all of you should realize is please have confidence on yourself that yes, I can do it and I will do it. Okay. With that confidence, everything goes in the positive direction. The moment you start feeling doubts, the moment your decision becomes like shaky, then the results will not be in your favor. So whatever subject you are weak at, concentrate on that. Whatever topic you think is your weak point, please concentrate on that. Learn from the mistakes you did last year in the last exam. And I think you're good to go. Okay? No, Suhani, for comprehension chapter, you don't have to make notes. Acronyms, where did this come from, Pal? Harshita, swiftness means fast. Learning means to know about things. So being fast when we want to know about things, that is what swiftness in learning means. Okay? Great. Thanks, Prem. Gautami, it will be MCQ and little bit of descriptions. No, Karthike, here the note making is little different from how you make it for your subjects. Amit, I did not get your question. Describe descriptive notes with proverb because proverb gives short and sweet summary. Where are proverbs written? Why are you talking about proverbs in note making? We are not doing any proverbs here. Palak, the study material is there in a PDF form on the website, on the POS portal. You can study from there also. Great, Ananya. Ashwini, I cannot give you the PDF. It's everything is there. The PDF of the study material is already uploaded on the BOS portal. These presentations will get uploaded after the class on the portal. So everything is there. Okay, Saksham, wait a minute. There's no need to hurry. I have to finish the queries also. Okay, so this is over. Now, the first thing is how to make notes because very importantly, I keep getting questions from students are what exactly are notes? Why am I making notes when the whole book is already talking about it? उसका रीजन ये होता है कि जो आप नोट्स बना रहे हो उनको पढ़ के आपको अब वापस से बुक पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं होनी चाहिए. That is what a good note making is. If after reading my notes, I again have to read the book, then my time has been wasted, my effort has been wasted, and I have not understood the purpose of note making. अगर ऐसा कुछ करना है तो प्लीज नोट्स मत बनाइए. बट अगर आपको समझना है कि नोट्स पढ़ के I can actually come out with a better understanding of the topic, then please go ahead. Okay. Now, the first thing is what are notes? They are a brief record because everything has to be in brief. You cannot have lengthy sentences, essay type notes because notes have to be crisp. They are the outline of a speech. So if somebody has given a speech and I have to take down notes, I will only note the important points. I will, sorry, I will not note anything which is irrelevant for anybody to read again. Next is important points. We've just discussed that shortened version. Now, if somebody's speech is like, let's say 1,000 words, I cannot be making another note of 1,000 words. My note making activity should at least cut down that speech to 1/4 of it. So if I'm somewhere at 200 or 250, I have done a brilliant job. Okay. Highlights. Highlights are just like cricket match highlights. So if I don't watch the final IPL between CSK and maybe Hyderabad Sunrisers, I can watch the highlights and I'll get an equally interesting feel about why Dhoni is winning and maybe why somebody else is not. Okay. The only request is highlights should be made interesting. Highlights should cover everything which was there in the real match, the real note, the real study material here in this case. And the highlights should actually highlight the important points. Like, every time somebody hits a six, that's part of the highlight. But when you have dot balls in cricket, that's not part of the highlight. So you should be able to differentiate what to add and what not to add. Okay. And the last is footnotes. Footnotes also help us because when you have to refer to, there are these numbers written like 1, 2, 7 on the lines or a difficult word. So you can refer below and see what does the footnote say. The footnote says it is from a particular book, it is from a particular title, it is from a particular journal, it gives you the name also. So it's always helpful to have footnotes. Okay, I've just given you, my slide also has footnotes if you can see, 1 and 2. Fine. Okay. Sulakshana, BCR के paper का discussion? What discussion? I have to take my subject like note making today. I cannot discuss the paper today. Sorry for that. Okay. जो timetable है, we have to discuss the topic which is note making, and every class has a schedule. So you can't expect that हम paper discuss करेंगे. Thank you so much, Bhumi. Dhruv, can I make a request? You should start reading basic stuff, because if you have some information about words like vast and the highlights, it will be really good for you. So please start studying something basic. अगर आपको genuinely BCR का paper attempt करके clear करना है, so you should be able to know the meanings of such words. Okay? Shortened version, short का मतलब क्या होता है ध्रुव? Can you tell me? Footnotes, Manjunath, is what you can see I have made. You can see towards the right side of my slide. It's where you have the name of the author, the book from which the point has been taken, the year of publication, the name of the publicator, publication house, all that is below towards the end of the chapter. That is called a footnote. How to create a topics highlight? I did not get you. You don't have a topics highlights. Highlights means notes are referred to as highlights. Some people say, just give me the highlights of the meeting. Don't give me the detailed meeting. That is what I mean by highlights. Abbreviations can come. Yes, Rene. Yes, Pallavi, you are right. In school CBSE also there is note making. Very good. Hitesh, you can see the note making questions in the mock test papers. You'll yourself get to know. Shanti, what is your query? I haven't got your query, Shanti. Hi, Deepika. I just now told you what are footnotes. Chanchal, did you not listen? What you can see here, I'll just annotate and show it to you. Maybe that'll make it easier for all of you. This can you see? I'll be very bad with writing at this, but since many of you are asking, these are footnotes. Okay. Yes, Deepika, but this is different. Khushbu, why are you asking this? You can wait and see who's going to come for your next class. Negative marking, if I am checking, I'm going to cut every single mark for wrong spellings. I just don't write incorrect spellings. Acronyms mean abbreviations, short forms like BHEL is Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, ONGC is Oil and Natural Gas Commission. Those are acronyms. Okay. Harsh, why are you writing the same slide in the chat box? I don't understand. What is that reason for? Okay, great. Sharon, it's not just you who's doing it, right? I have to answer queries. I have to make sure everybody is on the same page. So fast or slow, let me see how everybody is comprehending the content, and then I'll decide. Okay? Okay. Next comes note making versus note taking. So what is the difference? Note making is something which combines and synthesizes, because I'm combining a lot of information and I'm actually bringing it out in a better form, which is synthesizing. Okay. As opposed to note taking, which means somebody is speaking, I'm just listening and taking down whatever is important. So I'm just note taking. I'm not following a format. I'm just writing whatever is important to me. But note making is I'm going to put all the extra effort to read the content, to listen to a speech repeatedly, and write down whatever is the best, so that reading my notes, people are aware, or people know what the speech was about, what the content was about. Okay. Note making involves reviewing. Why there is a review? Because when you are doing a note, you cannot just do it casually that, okay, kuch bhi likh diya and that's my note. That's not possible. When you're doing a note making, you have to be very specific about the number of words, about your choice of words. You have to make it easy. You can't make it as difficult as the main chapter, because then the purpose of note making does not solve. But note taking is only writing. So you're just writing down, writing down whatever everybody is saying. You're not doing anything more than that. Okay. Note making can take as much time because there is a lot of thought process involved. You have to think whether this is important, whether this is relevant, whether this can be part of a question, whether I should remember this towards the end of the exam. So note making is quite time consuming. Sorry, note making. Note taking is fast because you're just simply scribbling and listening to somebody and scribbling. You aren't doing much of a thoughtful job. So you might just be aware that you're sitting, you're awake, somebody is speaking, and you're taking down notes. You don't have to apply much brains there in note taking. And last of all, note making, you can use your own language because those notes are going to help you as an understanding. But in taking, it has to be the speaker's language, which means whatever the speaker said, you're going to write down only those words because you're taking down the speech on behalf of somebody. Okay. The first is note making, which is for yourself. The second is note taking, which is only being done by recording what the other person is saying. Got it? Is the slide clear? Fine. Yes, Muskan, note taking is writing as it is. So you don't have to bother much. ज़्यादा सोचना नहीं पड़ता because taking notes में कोई बोल रहा है, आप उसको सिर्फ नोट डाउन कर रहे हो, या वीडियो चल रहा है, आप as it is लिख रहे हो. पर जब आप नोट्स बना रहे हो, which is note making, तब आपका माइंड एक्टिवली एनग्रॉस्ड है. आपको काफी चीजें ऐसे लिखनी है जो आपको लेटर स्टेज पे फायदा करेंगी. आपको कुछ ऐसी इंफॉर्मेशन यूज करनी है विच मे बी इज जस्ट टू बी सीन डायरेक्टली. उसके लिए आपको वापस चैप्टर पे या वापस बुक पे जाने की जरूरत नहीं है. So note making is a much more arduous and a tedious process which involves a lot of detailed studies as opposed to note taking. Okay. Sharon, refer to an MTP, please, for all the weightage related questions, the compulsory questions, everything. Okay, next. Fine. So this is clear to everybody. Thank you so much. Thanks, Anjali, Apurva, Shilpa, Tanvi, and Ritu. Everything is clear. So when you are doing the notes, it's basically note making. When you are simply taking down what some senior is saying, or maybe what there is a speech by the Prime Minister, and I ask you, please take down some notes. So aap as it is likhoge sab kuch. Okay. Okay. Now there are different styles of note making which you should know. Linear, as the name suggests, is a line style of a note making. Fine. Linear में क्या होता है? जैसे आप MS Word यूज कर रहे हो तो आपको पता है कि पॉइंट्स होंगे, बुलेट्स होंगे, सीरियल नंबर्स होंगे, वो सब लाइन वाइज चल रहा है. So everything goes down in a series like with a comma, or it goes down like a drop down list. Notes are always to be done in pointers. We never appreciate notes made in paragraphs because usse kya hota hai, they look similar to what is there in the book. It looks similar to what is there in your textbook or in the books which you're reading. So then the purpose is not solved. अगर नोट्स भी उतने ही डिटेल्ड एंड कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव एंड डिफिकल्ट लगेंगे तो नोट्स बनाए क्यों हैं? व्हाई नॉट रीड द टेक्स्ट बुक? समझ आया? तो अगर हमको नोट्स बनाने हैं, हमारे नोट्स ऐसे होने चाहिए कि सब कुछ एक ड्रॉप डाउन लिस्ट के जैसे हो, हेडिंग हो, सब हेडिंग के नीचे उसके टॉपिक्स हो, टॉपिक्स के साथ उनकी डेफिनेशन हो, एग्जाम्पल्स हो, एवरीथिंग शुड बी वेरी क्रिस्प। एक के बाद एक के बाद एक के बाद एक के बाद एक पॉइंट्स दिखने चाहिए, थियोरेटिकल नोट्स नहीं होने चाहिए। ओके, so this is an example of how you make a linear note making. Linear is basically line. So there is a subheading 1, subheading 2. You can make it like subheading 1 के नीचे 1.1.1, 1.2, 1.3 आ सकता है, 1.1a आ सकता है, 1.1b आ सकता है. The diversification can increase depending on how much you have to write. So finally it becomes like a tree with branches. सबसे बड़ा ट्रंक है नोट मेकिंग, उसकी एक ब्रांच है हेडिंग, फिर उसकी एक ब्रांच है सेकेंड हेडिंग, फिर उसकी और छोटी छोटी ब्रांचेस है सब हेडिंग 1, सब हेडिंग 2. ओके, गॉट इट? एवरीबडी क्लियर विद दिस स्टाइल? सो स्टाइल ऑफ नोट मेकिंग बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होता है, आप कैसे यूज करते हो. Tedious means difficult, Deepika. Yes, Shamali, running notes, exactly. I will, Krishna, I will. Akriti, you can use your own language for note making. There is no need, but what happens is, Manisha, your question in the BCR paper, the question will say make linear notes for the following passage. So you should be knowing what are linear notes. अगर आपको पता ही नहीं होगा what are linear notes, how will you know the format? How will you make them in the linear style? Okay. Okay, very good. So language can be your own, very important. And it can be a linear style. It can be other styles also, depending on what your question says. You can use abbreviations, you can use acronyms, but remember everything should be either in a bullet form or a drop down list. Okay, that is about linear note making. Okay, the next kind is non-linear note making. Non-linear note making में क्या होता है? That we make tree-like structures, we make tables, we make flow charts, and we make normal charts. It can be a bar graph, it can be a survey report, it can be a pie chart, anything, you know, pie chart with those circle having pies at this percentage, anything. But it's more visual oriented. There is more eye pleasure there because कुछ पिक्चर है, कुछ इमेज है, थियोरी कम है, रिटन कंटेंट है, but it's more in the form of a pictorial depiction. Okay? Yes, you can, Akriti. Kushal, what's your question? Accent, your accent. What is that? Thank you, Gautami. Thank you, Shilpa. Kushal, you have nothing to say, but your blank message is coming like 20 times. Please check. Yes, Amit. Thanks a lot, Kushal. Can we use context language? Komalpreet, what context language do you mean? Thanks, Sharon. मौर्या, ये क्वेश्चन अभी जरूरी है कि ब्लैक पेन यूज करना है या ब्लू पेन यूज करना है पेपर में? What did you not understand, Devyanshi? I am just saying कि आपको नोट्स बनाने हैं, लीनियर नोट्स बनाने हैं, तो ड्रॉप डाउन लिस्ट होगी, 1 होगा, उसमें हेडिंग होगी, फिर सब हेडिंग हो गई 1A, फिर 1B. अगर उसको भी फर्दर आपको बाइफर्केट करना है, you want to divide them also, you can use 1A1, 1A2, 1A3. It's simple. Don't complicate, okay? How can you understand the important topic for Akriti? If you think the topic is important, तो आप notes बनाओगे. अगर आपको लग रहा है topic normal है, तो you can read it from the book as well. Okay? Okay, thank you so much. Yes, non-linear can be visual communication. Good, Shoaib. Okay, so we've come to non-linear. I've given an image of a non-linear presentation, note making. It's a tree इट हैज ऑल द वर्ड्स. तो हर ब्रांच में आप कोई इंपॉर्टेंट बात लिख सकते हो विच यू थिंक इज acting as the relevant information. Okay, because आपने एक टॉपिक पढ़ा. I'll give you a very simple example. आप लोगों ने जीएसटी के बारे में पढ़ा. What is GST? How is it calculated? What are the things to be kept in mind while a GST is calculated? What is the difference between SGST and CGST? सब कुछ आपने पढ़ लिया. बट इतना कुछ कंटेंट है कि आपको समझ नहीं आ रहा. नाउ हाउ डू आई फिल्टर इट? मैं इसको रिटेन कैसे करूं? तो आप क्या करोगे? आप एक हेडिंग लोगे जीएसटी, उसका आप फुल फॉर्म लिखोगे, उसके बारे में आप पॉइंट्स लिखोगे कि वो होता क्या है, कैसे स्टार्ट किया, व्हाट परसेंटेज, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा, बाकी स्टेट्स में, बाकी कंट्रीज में क्या होता है, इंडिया में क्या होता है. सो ऑल अबाउट जीएसटी बुलेट्स में. देन इफ यू हैव सम मोर ब्रांचेस कमिंग आउट, तो फिर आप लिखोगे सेंट्रल जीएसटी क्या होता है, स्टेट जीएसटी क्या होता है, कहाँ कहाँ अप्लाई होता है, कितने परसेंटेज होता है, उसकी आप डिटेल्स सब हेडिंग्स के अंदर अंदर डालते जाओगे. दैट इज अ नोट मेकिंग. सिंपल. हाँ साक्षी, मोस्टली क्वेश्चन में लिखा होता है कि किस टाइप का नोट मेकिंग बनाना है. If it is not mentioned, then you can make it of your choice. But if the question specifically says, make notes on the following on the basis of the linear note making style, then you have to follow the list which I showed a slide before this. What if I used to write similar lines given in the paragraph? Similar lines आप लिख सकते हो, but lines लिखनी ही नहीं है, या तो बुलेट पॉइंट्स लिखने हैं, तो उसमें से आप वर्ड्स ले सकते हो, पर पूरी पूरी लाइंस नॉट रिक्वायर्ड एक्चुअली. प्रणित, अभी तक तो I haven't seen any message of yours. Yes, non-linear can be flowcharts. I've put that, Ananya. I've kept that on screen. Thanks, Mansi. Please explain in English. I am explaining in English. Sundaran, what is the explanation you require? Okay. Now, this is an example of a non-linear note making where you have a tree and every branch is talking about one particular aspect of the notes. Okay, the tree structure. You can make tables, you can make flowcharts. Okay, the next is the pyramid and the flowchart. A pyramid and flowchart में क्या होता है? What exactly happens? Pyramid is a triangle. You all know the pyramids of Egypt, right? Has anybody visited Egypt? Thanks, Neha. Thank you so much. महिका, प्लीज एक बार आप क्वेश्चन पेपर देख लीजिए लास्ट ईयर्स के. आपको हर क्वेश्चन का, हर टॉपिक का वेटेज पता चल जाएगा. ओके, थैंक्स प्रणित. Suraj, are you joining now and saying good morning? Okay. Thanks a lot, Shanti. Sagar, see, now I am in a dilemma. Half students say, please speak in Hindi. Half say, please speak in English. ऐसे तो it's very difficult. The idea is, आपने पेपर इंग्लिश मीडियम में अटेम्प्ट करना है, let's talk in English. आपने पेपर हिंदी मीडियम में अटेम्प्ट करना है, we'll discuss it in Hindi. Simple, okay? I have to cater to everybody. And my agenda is to improve your English language. Hindi to you all speak very well if it is your mother tongue, if you belong to the north of India or the western belt. But if you belong to south of India, then I think English becomes more prevalent. And at the end of the day, the question paper will be in English. So please do that. Okay. Not visited. Fine. Okay. Amit, I didn't get your question. Mark sheet कौन से type का note making है? Where is this mark sheet coming from? Okay. Okay, Sneha has seen the Egyptian pyramids. That's wonderful, Sneha. Good to know that. So next time I'll ask you questions about the pyramid. Okay, fine. The pyramids are like really, interesting structures for the kind of engineering involved in making them. Anyways, so I've just given you an example of a note making, which is pyramid style and flowchart style. The content written in this is just general. I've written it according to my own understanding. You don't have to worry about what is written. So don't feel कि हमें दिख नहीं रहा है और दिख रहा है तो वो छोटा क्यों है, बड़ा क्यों है. All that is not important. I'm just showing you the image of how a pyramid note looks and how a flowchart note looks. ठीक है? That is the main idea. उसके आगे आप खुद ट्राई कर सकते हो, कोई भी टॉपिक ले लो. ऊपर एक heading होनी चाहिए, like मेरे pyramid में heading है smart goal. After that, I have these subtopics which you can see. Okay. Now, always remember there is a way to decide which style to be followed for which kind of a note making. That is very important. You cannot follow a pyramid style always because your content will not fix into that triangle. So mostly क्या होता है question paper में, it will be mentioned in the question, make a flowchart style of a note making pattern for the following passage. Okay. No, Chanchal, that is personal choice, right? How do I know how much notes you need? You can use notes for yourself every day. You can make notes for yourself once a week. That's very relative. Naresh Bhai, advanced English. What advanced English should I use? Right side of the presentation is just the flowchart. You can just see the picture of the flowchart. What is written in the flowchart is not important. I just wanted to show you that an image of a flowchart should look something like this. Okay. I think, Naresh, the idea of explanation here is to ensure everybody understands what each topic is about. So my intent is not to talk about a higher level English or to speak more fancy. The intent is कि सबको समझ आए कि exactly question में क्या expected है और क्या लिखना है. ठीक है? आकृति, जब आप पढ़ते हो ना पैसेज को, उसमें से जो इम्पोर्टेंट होता है उसको आप बुलेट पॉइंट्स में लिख देते हो. You've been doing this since school. I think it should not be that difficult. It's not a new topic, I think. Krishna, this is again the same thing I'm saying. There is no hard and fast rule that if I'm making notes for the law subject or if I'm making notes for indirect tax, what style should I use? It's very personal. You might like the flowchart style, but I always like the linear style. So ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि क्या best है. आपको जो suit करता है, follow that. Okay? Fine. Now I'm moving on to the next slide. Yes, Neha, you can. I just said that, Prem, in the exam, in the question, it is mentioned, mostly it will be mentioned which style of note making should you follow? Should you write your answer in? If it says linear, तो आपको linear style में लिखना है. If it says non-linear, then they'll say, please make a flowchart style of note for the following passage. It will be given in the question, my dear children. Don't worry. You are trying to get into a panic situation. You're creating trouble for yourself. Always remember, it's a simple English paper. Everything is clearly mentioned. If you have started reading the study material, if you have started seeing the exam test papers, the last year's papers, etc., you will not have any query. All your queries will get solved. But the request is, take it as a paper which you will enjoy. Don't take it as a paper which is a burden. Because language is something which you are learning for a long-term purpose. You are not doing the BCR paper just for the sake of writing the BCR paper. उसके reasons हैं. आप लोगों को 100 लोगों के सामने खड़े होके प्रेजेंटेशन देनी है, तो आपको पता होना चाहिए मेरा स्क्रीन कैसा लग रहा है. What exactly am I showing on screen? Is the flowchart visible? Is it better to make non-linear notes? All this is what you have to learn gradually. Okay. Yes, Amit, PPT is also that. Okay, most welcome, Akriti. Indentation. Indent karna is to break the paragraphs. So when you indent, for example, in MS Word, everything starts from a gap towards the left side margin. That is indent. Okay. Style and format. So we'll just discuss style and format this particular slide, and then we'll take a 10-minute break at around 12 o'clock. So there is a difference between linear and non-linear. Obviously, we have seen the difference right now. Linear note making, it involves indentation because you start from the margin. There is a margin towards the left. So you start from the margin, you put the heading. If there is a subheading, you need to move towards the right a little bit. If there is a subheading, you again move towards the right. If there is a subheading, you move towards the right. So you see there's like a diagonal step formed. As a picture, it looks like a step. Okay, I'll just annotate and show it to you. I have examples, don't worry. I'll show everything so that it's just clear to all of you. So if you start your heading from here, this is the starting point. Your subheading starts a little towards the right. Your subheading starts towards right. And then your subheading starts towards the right. So everything keeps moving towards its right when it comes to linear note making. This is called indentation, okay? And this is like a diagonal step or a diagonal ladder formed towards the end. So this involves indentation. This is what I mean when I say the first point, okay? Second is using Roman numerals. So again, we use numerals like this. All this for the headings and the subheadings. We avoid using numericals like 1, 2, 3. Okay? Yes, Ananya. Yes, Omali. It's mostly like the hierarchical structure. Thank you, Sneha. Hitesh, we'll come to examples. You can see the study material once. एक बार study material खोल के देखो. You will have a lot of examples. Okay, fine, Kushal, I got it. Okay, no queries. Second is done. Third is headings and subheadings, which I just now showed you. Can you see headings and subheadings? So number 1 is a heading, then 1A becomes a subheading, 1B becomes a subheading. If you want to further divide it, then you can have 1AA, 1AB, 1AC. Okay, then the bifurcation and the branching out can continue to any number of possibilities, but it should be relevant enough to be branched. ऐसा नहीं कि just because you have to make some bullets, you are breaking the topics. That's not allowed. That's not looking good actually. एक हेडिंग है, उस हेडिंग के नीचे कुछ आ रहा है तो आपने उसकी सब हेडिंग बना ली. कुछ नहीं आ रहा है तो रहने दो. Isn't it? Then you don't have to worry. Okay. And the last is symbols, acronyms with keynotes. Acronyms, I just now told you, are abbreviations. So maybe ICAI stands for Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, which is an acronym. Again, NTPC stands for National Thermal Power Corporation. Again, that's an acronym. So short forms are basically acronyms. It's like abbreviations. Symbols, I actually meant like, suppose you have a symbol this. Okay, this is a therefore symbol. You just invert it. You make 2 dots on the top and 1 dot towards the bottom. This is a because symbol. Okay, this is therefore, this is because. Then you have symbols like hashtag. Then you have symbols like ampersand, which is and. Then you have symbols like this stands for male. There's an arrow here. And this stands for female. So these are some standard symbols across the English language. You don't have to worry about them. If you are using the symbols, you don't have to tell what the symbol means if they are standard. But if you are using short forms, like if for linear, for the word linear, I am writing LNR. Then you have to explain the meaning what is LNR because it's not a standard accepted abbreviation. But the standard abbreviation of organizations, of names of school or some other events, that you can use and you can avoid in the key. The key is basically a list of all the short forms you used with the long forms. Okay. Abbreviations, Parveen, is just like BHELONGC, NTPC, CPWD, BSF. All these short forms are called abbreviations. Keynotes are, again, I just now told you, a list of all the abbreviations or acronyms which you are explaining. MTP is mock test paper, yes. Alphabets भी use कर सकते हैं, yes Neha. The division can be any way 1 2 3 4 Roman numeral start कर लो and then उसके बाद आप small 1 2 3 4 पे आ जाओ, उसके बाद आप alphabets पे चले जाओ. Therefore is the tree triangle, yes. MTP can be an acronym, yes. Very good, Sneha. That was interesting. Okay, Apurva, equal to or greater than. Yes, Harsh, correct. Yes, Krishnam, you have to explain. All this should be part of your key if you have written some abbreviations. Approximately, you write approx, then you have to say approx means approximately. So the idea of writing the key is any word which you have made on your own should be able, the reader should be able to understand that particular word because the abbreviation is not standard. Like I'm saying, for example, Roman numbers. For Roman numbers, there is no abbreviation. So I might say RMN NO dot. RMN for me means Roman. But unless I put that in the key, how will my reader know it? How will my seniors know it? That what do I mean by RMN? So I'm requesting all of you, please mention the key. Footnotes are not required, Ananya. Okay, Pankaj, the module is very, very extensive. Bharat Heavy Electricals, Dhruv. Standard symbol, Harsh, what do you mean? There is no limit, Ruhani. Not that your whole note should look like abbreviations, but yes, abbreviations have to be included. That will be a good idea. Okay. Fine. Clear till here? So we have done the style of note making, specifically linear note making. We have done the difference between note making and note taking. And we have also realized what is note making helping us in doing. Okay. Yes. At a standard. Okay. Fine. Is it clear till here? So I think we'll take a break here. Style and format of linear note making is done. I only now request you that whenever you start taking everything on the basis of your notes. So they should not be struggling with what does this ON mean, what does CON mean, what does LGD mean. If you want to shorten down words, you yourself have to put a key. Otherwise, every time I suggest the linear note making is very helpful. It's more, it's easier, it's more clear, and it's very structured. Okay. And many of the times I've realized when it comes to academics, or when it comes to official note making, we do not use pyramids and flowcharts. That is very often done for higher scale reports. So if you're doing a report on the Narmada Dam or the Narmada Bachao Andolan, then you can make these, visual images. Otherwise, all this gets very difficult. Okay. Acronym means short form, Dhruv. Yes, Sakshi. So the moment you start using acronyms, you have to explain all the acronyms used. Not necessarily, Kaushiki. You don't have to write anything. You simply have to write the word key. Below the key, you can start giving the short forms and their real meanings. Okay, so thanks, Prem, Amit, Harsh, Apurva. Everybody is saying thank you. We'll take a 10-minute break. It's exactly 12 by my clock. I'll see you at 12:10 and we'll continue the note making thing. Please keep your doubts ready. Please make interesting notes. Have a good 10-minute break. Thank you so much. Okay, welcome back, students. After a short break, I hope it was a refreshing break. You're feeling refreshed. The topic is not very stressful. It's an important topic. Every topic should be done from a long-term perspective. You should not study only for the exam. Remember, you're going to enter into an industry where communication is the key. So writing, listening, taking down notes, how to represent a particular story in other way, how to report things, everything is going to play a very, very pivotal role. Okay, fine. Now let's continue with the note making thing. I'll share my screen. Okay, so we have done till here. This much is clear, I assume. All this is okay. You don't have a doubt in understanding what is linear note making. And then we'll move on to further topics. Now we are doing non-linear note making. So please remember, there can be a question which asks you to differentiate between linear and non-linear because it doesn't involve much of writing. So there can be a question in that, which can be a subjective question, because many of you keep asking me, is there a subjective question? Are the questions all MCQs? I always wonder, if I was a student, the first thing I would do is go and check back my notes and check my exams, the last year's exam papers, to understand and to get a better idea about how my question paper looks like. Okay, so there can be a possibility of a question which simply says differentiate between linear note making and non-linear note making. So the points which I've showed you on screen right now and the screen before that, both these can be added. Okay, clear? Everybody? Thumbs up is okay for everybody? Cool. So let's move on. Now we're doing non-linear note making. You can obviously refer to the study material once my class is done, just to get an even more in-depth understanding. Quickly see the study material. Everything we teach is on the basis of the ICAI study material, because we are not going anything different. अलग से नहीं जा रहे हैं, जो उसमें लिखा है वही इसमें लिखा है, वैसा ही पैटर्न आपको फॉलो करना है. ठीक है? Okay. Okay, now I'm just reading the queries. Okay, clear, everybody. Fine. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Very good. Now let's move on to non-linear note making. One, it's very typical that it involves diagrams. So I don't want to see content. मुझे लिखा हुआ idea नहीं चाहिए. A non-linear note making should be charts, should be diagrams, which we just now discussed. It should have mind mapping concepts. School में, remember, you've done mind maps. So mind maps क्या होते हैं? Something like a flow chart. एक टॉपिक होगा, उसकी दो ब्रांचेस होंगी, दो ब्रांचेस की फर्दर ब्रांचेस होंगी, फर्दर ब्रांचेस की फर्दर ब्रांचेस होंगी. इट गोज लाइक अ फ्लो चार्ट. ओके, दैट्स लाइक अ माइंड मैप कॉन्सेप्ट. It might be completely pictorial, accept it. You don't have to write many things in a listed form. The idea of a non-linear note making is कि मैं उस टॉपिक को, उस पॉइंट को पिक्टोरियल फॉर्म में समझाना चाहती हूँ, मुझे लिखना नहीं है. Fine. It is spread across the sheet, making it look white and image based. Now, many times क्या होता है कि बहुत चीजें descriptive होती हैं, so much of content. For example, I'll give you a very simple topic which everybody has studied in CBSE. You must have studied about the First World War. Okay. Now, First World War happened in 1914. अब उस टॉपिक पे मुझे नोट्स बनाने हैं. मेरी हिस्ट्री के बुक में 10 पेजेस हैं. Every time I have to write an exam based on that topic, I cannot afford to study 10 pages. So what will I do? I'll either make linear notes or I'll make non-linear notes. अब अगर मैं non-linear notes बना रही हूँ तो मुझे diagram use करना है. अब I cannot show people fighting. Okay, we are not doing a Fortnite game. We are not doing a Minecraft game जहाँ पे I'm showing soldiers who are fighting. So what picture should I make? I'll make a spreadsheet. I'll make a tree. I'll make a flow chart, because pie chart will not work here. Venn diagram will not work here. Flow chart will, pyramid will, or maybe if I have a cyclical structure, that will. Okay. And if you're using the MS Word, उसमें smart art में बहुत सारे shapes होते हैं, बहुत सारे processes दिए होते हैं. उसमें से you can take something. So when we have to make notes on 1914 की First World War, which my notes have to be non-linear. I'll simply write एक बड़े से box में First World War. Okay. Then I'll make an arrow. I'll give you the date and where did it start. Then I'll make another arrow. Which countries were in the Allies, which countries were in the other team. Then I'll make an arrow. I'll talk about the main cause for the starting of the First World War. Then I'll talk about long-term causes. Then I'll talk about after effects. Then I'll talk about consequences. Then I'll talk about what did it result in finally. So ऐसे मेरी branches increase होती जाएंगी and मेरा image बहुत ज़्यादा wide में दिखेगा, like landscape image आएगा. Okay, as if my whole sheet is like spread across. And mostly what I have realized it's just a suggestion. For example, you're using an A4 size paper. So A4 size paper को अगर आप horizontally use करोगे ना, that's maximum utilization for a non-linear style. Linear style में since it's a drop down list, A, B, C, D नीचे नीचे आता है, उसके लिए always use a vertical style. Okay? Clear है? Great. Thank you so much. I'm feeling so like गुड कि इस लेवल तक आप लोग आ जाओ कि आपको डिफरेंस समझ आ जाए नोट मेकिंग का. फाइन. ओके, क्विकली आई विल हैव अ लुक एट द क्वेरीज. Harshita, you will get topics about note making. You can see the questions in your paper. You will see how exactly a passage is given. On the basis of that passage, you will be asked to make notes. You have to make notes on topics, Harshita. Okay, thanks Ritu, Anjali and Sakshi. Everything is clear. Moving on. Now I have an example finally. Everybody is just asking me notes बनाने कैसे हैं, क्यों बनाने हैं, chapter के बनाने हैं या questions के बनाने हैं. So this is going to clear all your doubts. You will get a passage like this. The passage continues to 2 pages. Once you are done reading the first slide, please give me a notification. I'll move on to the next page. After having read both these, I will ask you to show me your notes. You can put the notes in the chat where you are writing all your comments. You can write the notes there. Okay. This is how your question will look like. You will get a passage. This passage is based on Bengal tigers. What important things do you feel should be taken out from this passage so that मैं सिर्फ वो important things पढूं और मुझे पूरा passage समझ आ जाए. Clear है everybody? Yash, it doesn't matter. Alphabetical भी हो सकता है, alphanumerical भी हो सकता है, only numerical भी हो सकता है. Yes, Shanti, passage reading is easy. It's very similar to reading comprehension. You just have to understand it yourself. You will not have questions based on the passage, which was there in reading comprehension, but you will definitely have to understand it yourself and come out with better notes. Done, Samir, you have read it also. Very good. That was fast as Usain Bolt. बहुत जल्दी कर लिया समीर. अगर सबने पढ़ लिया है, if the first slide is over, can I move on to the next slide quickly? Give me a notification, put that in your chat box, and then I'll move on to the next. Otherwise, I'll go slowly. Okay. Okay, Saloni, no problem. ठीक है. Continue, please. I have not used any difficult passage. I'm giving you a very... Gautami, it's not about explanation. You have to read the passage and you have to make notes on your own. Okay? समझ आया आपको? आपको खुद notes बनाने हैं. You have to read it and understand what is important. उसके basis पे notes बनाओ. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I didn't get you. Rewatch the lecture. What recording session? You can rewatch it. The lecture is always available to be rewatched. Yes, Yash, correct. सलोनी यू कैन यूज लीनियर एंड नॉन लीनियर, कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं होता है. अगर क्वेश्चन में कुछ स्पेसिफिकेशन दिया है then please stick to the specification. If it's not given, then you can do it by your choice, because this is all done to help you understand कि note making का topic होता कैसे है. Okay. Okay, Sulakshana done, Prem has done, Komalpreet has done, Anshika has done. Dwindle means come down, has become less. Emmanuel, heaped means put together, like a heap of cotton. सब कुछ एक साथ रखते हैं, so it becomes like a mountain of that stuff. That is heaped. If you have finished, can you make notes? If you have finished reading, I want you to give me a linear style note making for this passage. If you want, I can move to the first slide, because you will have to take down the important aspects from the first slide. Then you have to move to the second slide. Okay, one more thing before I forget. All of you remember, notes have to be in order of the content given in the passage. अगर आप किसी passage के notes बना रहे हो, the order is very important. You can't start, like, for example, this is the second part of the passage. Okay, so you can't start with NTCA in your first point, or you can't start with the 1st April 1973 Act in the first point. Okay, it's always suggested that notes should be in the order of the content given in your story, in your passage, in your speech, etc. Okay, clear, everybody? Okay, Sakshi has given me something. Very good, Sakshi. Scathing means very, very sharp. Yes, Harshita, that is correct. Yes, Rishikesh, I just now told you scathing remarks are like sharp, insulting remarks. Please, Harshita, carry on then. Yeah, Sakshi, I'm reading yours only. I will upload it, Kriti, don't worry. अभी तो बताया. I don't know why is everybody asking me the meaning of the same word. If I'm telling you once, then I'm sure everybody is hearing. या जब आपका नाम लिया जाता है आप लोग तभी सुनते हैं. गौतमी, I just now told you scathing means sharp, insulting. If I want to use it in a sentence, I will say the scathing remarks of the opposition party were not accepted easily, and hence it led to a chaos in the parliament. Yes, Krishnam, you need to type here. Okay, just make some basic notes in pointer list from this first slide. The important aspects. If this is done, then tell me, I'll move to the second slide, because right now in this platform, I'm not able to show you the slide in a notebook form so that you can see both the pages side by side. Hence, I'm changing my slide. Okay. Note making is a very fun task, especially जो BCR के questions आते हैं ना, they are really interesting. Because आप अपनी study material से जब बना रहे हो, अपने लिए पढ़ने के लिए बना रहे हो, you have to be very particular, you don't miss anything. इसमें क्या है, the topics which you will be getting will be more diverse. You might not be getting only accounts related, only finance related, only policy related passages. Hence, the style of note making is more important. And once you start reading, इसमें दो purpose solve हो रहे हैं. एक आपको passage पढ़ना आ रहा है, दूसरा आपको filter out करना आ रहा है. Because when you go to an office, when you start working in a corporate, there are like loads and loads of surveys and reports which you have to study, and then you have to come out with a summary and come out with the relevant information. उसके लिए नोट मेकिंग बहुत जरूरी है, बिकॉज सारा का सारा रिपोर्ट कैन नॉट बी इम्पोर्टेंट. Okay, Palak and Deepika have shared. Very good. Just give me a minute. I'll read it. Okay, correct, Palak. It's good. Spread across means increasing. Amit, what is happening? आप तो बिल्कुल ही opposite meaning बोल रहे हो. Spread across means something is increasing. If I'm saying COVID is spreading everywhere across the country, which means the number of COVID cases are increasing, not decreasing. First slide. This is Emmanuel. This is first slide. Call of duty means it's like an alarm bell that you have to finish this work. It's a duty which is still pending. So this is going to ring an alarm in your eye, in your mind, that please come for attack, come for some action. Spread across means it's moving everywhere. If I say the animals have spread across the forest, which means throughout the forest, the animals have gone. Okay, Manisha, well done. Sulakshana, very good. Yamini, really good work. Deepika and Palak, I think yours is not complete, or I have to move to the second slide maybe. Good job, Deepika. Okay, now this is the second slide. You can continue the notes from the second slide. I'm just giving you one example. There are so many passages in the study material. उसके basis पे भी आप practice कर सकते हो. You can take up an article from a newspaper. उसमें से notes बना के लिख सकते हो. So the resources available are immense. There are plenty of resources available. If you start practicing regularly, starting from the study material, that is the first thing you should do. Second, refer to the revision test papers. Third, refer to the mock test papers. If you think you are done with all these three, then you shift to general stuff like pick up a daily, weekly, pick up a frontline magazine, pick up an India Today magazine. उसका एक article पढ़ो, उसमें से notes बना लो. ठीक है? So possibilities of practice तो बहुत सारी हैं. How much you practice, that is what I want to see. And I don't want anybody to get less than 39 out of 40 in the BCR paper. 1 mark मैं इसीलिए बोल रही हूँ because वो buffer हो जाता है, कभी गलती से mistake हो जाती है. That's okay. वो human error है. But you cannot afford to miss out on grammar marks. You cannot afford to miss out on note making, resume writing, because that is all subjective. एक template follow करना है बस. If you know the template, if you know the points, you just have to fill in the points in those templates and you are good to go. Problem कहाँ आ सकती है? Vocabulary words में. Because reading comprehension में तो question होता ही है, which one of the following words means the same as some word used in the passage. But besides that, you also have 3 to 4 questions which are hardcore vocabulary. Find the synonym, find the antonym, what is the meaning of the proverb, oblique, idiom. That's where you will get stuck. And for that, you have to read. जितना ज़्यादा आपने पढ़ा हुआ होगा, उतना ज़्यादा your exposure will be to new English language words. Okay? Okay, Komalpreet, this is the next slide. I am Chetna. I'm just checking everybody's. Just give me a second. Okay, correct, Chetna. Lavina has also done a good job. Krishna has given it a title saying Project Tiger. There's a very famous poem by one of the 16th century, if I'm not wrong, poet. It's called Tiger, Tiger Burning Bright in the Forest of the Night. So you're reminding me of this. And if I'm not wrong, it's a Wordsworth poem. Check the name of the poet, please. Don't rely me on that. Heaped upon means to make a heap, like to, to stack things. That's heap. एक के ऊपर एक के ऊपर एक के ऊपर एक चीजें रखना, that becomes a heap. So your mom comes and scolds you. Why are you not keeping the clothes in the almirah? You've made a heap of them. एक पूरा stack बना देना, एक पूरा bundle बना देना, which is towards height. जिया, आपने सिर्फ रॉयल बंगाल टाइगर लिख के छोड़ दिया है. Where are the notes? I'm waiting for the notes. Okay, I'll just wait for 1 or 2 minutes and then I'll move forward. So you all have understood the passage. You all have understood what to do in note making. Moving on, these are some quick tips to attend note making. इसमें एक example or I will give you. This is an interesting example. I'll show you what all is pending so that you speed up. The passage continues and then the sources. Okay. Now, quick tips to attempt note making. First of all, read the passage and underline the important words, which are known as the keywords. So if I'm talking about a particular location, then if there is a latitude and longitude given, that becomes a keyword. If I'm talking about a country and the capital is given, that is a keyword. So keywords are the very important words which are going to affect the story, affect the passage, which are going to be relevant. So they should be part of the note making. Okay. Next comes understand the reason oblique main idea oblique central theme behind the passage, which means जो हमने reading comprehension में करा था, identify the main theme. Why is the writer writing this? What does the writer want to convey? ऐसा क्या है उस topic में जिसको पढ़ के हमें कुछ extra information मिल रही है? What is that main story gist? What is the crux of that passage? उसको समझना बहुत जरूरी है. जैसे कि रॉयल बंगाल टाइगर के केस में what does the author want to tell you? Does it want to tell you that tigers eat non-veg? The tigers are carnivore animals? Does it want to tell you there are tigers which are striped and there are tigers which are not striped? Does it want to tell you that a tigress is always maybe not hunting always, but a tiger goes for a hunt? Is it telling you all this? No, it's not telling me all this information. What is it telling me? How is the Royal Bengal tiger behaving? What is the presence? What percentage of tigers in India? Which national park? Which acts? Which sections? Government policies? All this is the main reason behind writing the Royal Bengal tiger passage. That has to be part of the note making. Third, every note making should have a suitable title. Anything in English, whether it's a story, whether it's an article, whether it's a précis, whether it is your own diary entry, whether it is a blog, you put captions in your blogs, right? You make vlogs, you make reels, you make TikToks. You always give a caption. Even if you have a YouTube channel, you put a short reel, you put a TikTok, you put those YouTube shorts, you put a small caption, hashtags so and so, hashtag attending ICI live classes on 6th of July, hashtag note making. Those are captions, those are titles for the social media. I'm not concerned about that. I'm giving you an example so that you remember that ma'am told us in the class that I have to give it a title. So every note making question will have a title. Next point, your passage should be into parts. Like note making का जो आप बना रहे हो, उसको आप indent करोगे on the above decided path. So obviously notes आप तभी बनाओगे जब आप सब पढ़ चुके हो and you have enough to write. Abbreviations and acronyms. इसमें क्या होगा? I just now told you, if you are using a short form, for example, central word है. For the word central, if I'm writing CTRL, my key should have the meaning of CTRL. For the word suitable, if I'm writing STBL, my key should have the description STBL is equal to suitable. Okay, that is what short forms are, because these are not standard short forms. If I'm using a standard short form, जैसे मैंने बोला था आपको IPL लिखते हो, so उसमें नीचे की में लिखा होना चाहिए IPL is equal to Indian Premier League. FIFA लिखते हो, या जैसे जैसे फिजिक्स में हम लिखते हैं CG विच इज सेंटर ऑफ ग्रेविटी, डायरेक्ट टैक्स लिखते हो DT लिखते हो, इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स लिखते हो IT लिखते हो, IT रिटर्न्स लिखते हो तो इनकम टैक्स हो गया. What is the abbreviation you have used? That has to be mentioned in the key. Otherwise, I will understand something else. You want to explain something else. Note making things को simplify नहीं करेगा, even more complicate कर देगा. Okay? Got it, everybody? समझ आ रहा है? Okay, I have Janani, I have Manisha's notes, I have Ritu's notes, I have Gauri's notes, Soban. Oh yes, William Blake. Thanks so much, Janvi. I was getting confused. It was not Wordsworth, it was William Blake. Thanks a lot. Gauri has done it. Vidisha has done it. Komalpreet, Rishikesh, Anjali, Mansi, Sulakshana, Apurva, very good. So all of you have done a good job. I'm not exactly going word by word through your notes, but I'm just having a rough glance to get the idea that yes, you all have understood that I asked you to do it in a linear style. So you all have used numericals. Chanchal, Prem, Ruhani, good job. Akriti, very good. Akriti, just remember you have to use 1, 2, 3. Okay, numbers. Good, Gautam, very good. Yes, Harshita, words can be used. Thanks, Janvi, again. Your message is coming again. The poem Tiger was written by William Blake. Got it, got it, got it. Yes, ma'am, got it. Thumbs up. Wonderful. So all of you have really scored a 9 on 10. I'm leaving 1 mark extra for scope of improvement. All of you have scored 9 on 10 for your note making. Good job. Clap for yourself. Well done. Now, when you're doing a note making question, you should not have doubts. Okay. Last is give the key and summary. You have to discuss the summary towards the end. अब summary क्या होती है? Summary होती है कि आपने सारी बात को पैराग्राफ फॉर्म में लास्ट में लिखा है. एक आपने नोट्स बनाए हैं which are like a drop down list, which is like bullets, which is like abbreviations. वो सब आपने शॉर्ट फॉर्म में बना दिया. ओके, बट समरी में आपने उसको एक पैराग्राफ फॉर्म में लिख दिया है which is very very relevant points of that passage. So for the summary, you don't have to see the passage. You can simply see your notes and उनको collect करके, उनको concise करके, उनको collaborate करके आपने एक passage form में summary लिखी है. So the very important things were, कोई बात नहीं स्नेहा, even if you have written it in the notebook, it's okay as long as you have practiced it. I'm happy. I don't want to keep a check on all of you कि आप लोग लिख रहे हो नहीं लिख रहे हो. लिख रहे हो तो बहुत ही अच्छी बात है. You can share it with me. नोटबुक में भी लिखा है तो it's perfectly fine. Abbreviations होते हैं, short forms, keywords होते हैं, the important words in the passage which cannot be moved out of the description, which are very very important to understand. ठीक है? Okay, so now जैसे कि ये हो गया suitable title, की हो गया, summary हो गया, ये हो गया. According to me, when I see students doing it, most of the students miss these things. So please remember, these 4 things have to be part of your note making. Title नहीं होगा, marks cut होते हैं. You don't mention the key, but you have used a lot of abbreviations which are not the standard short forms. You will lose marks. If the summary is missing, you will lose marks. And obviously, there has to be some abbreviation. सब कुछ फुल फॉर्म में नहीं पॉसिबल है, देन दैट इज नॉट अ नोट मेकिंग. नोट मेकिंग का मतलब होता है एवरीथिंग इज वेरी शॉर्टन्ड एंड क्रिस्प एंड क्विक एंड डिटेल्ड येट बुलेटेड. ठीक है? नो नो नो, कैतन्या सुनावने नो, नोटबुक में शी हैज रिटन, यू राइट इट इन द चैट बॉक्स. Everything is fine, Pranit. Don't worry. I cannot go through each and everything, but mostly on the face of it, I'm liking your answer. Okay, Pranit? So don't worry. Okay, on the basis of this, I'll just clear the annotations. On the basis of these quick tips, Can you all attempt one last passage as an example? It moves to 2 slides. There are images also. It's about the famous Madurai Meenakshi temple. So please write down notes in whatever form possible. I think chat में share करने के लिए the linear form will be the best. तो अभी आप please linear form को ही follow कीजिए. घर पे practice करेंगे, so you can use your registers and your notebooks in the horizontal style, and you can start making image-based, picture-based style of writing notes, the non-linear style actually. Yes, Sakshi, summary is compulsory. It's part of the note-making question. Mostly the note-making question में mention होगा. Make notes, remember to include the key and also write a summary. But अगर mention नहीं है, तो भी लिखना है. Every question has some important expectations. For a question on note-making, title, key for the shortened version and summary are important, even if they are not mentioned in the question. Yes, Pranit, I just now told you on the face of it, all what you have done, including Pranit, you have sent me good bullet points. I might not be able to read every line, but जितना मैं superficial glance कर सकती हूँ अभी class में, you all have done a good job. Okay? Once I sit down and try to see each and every line, maybe there are a few grammar mistakes, maybe I can give you a little more suggestions, but mostly everything is good. Etched is kind of placed, Gautami. Etched on the southern bank. It's like placed. It's located. Okay, finish this slide, make the notes, then I'll continue with the next slide. You can continue your notes and share them with me once. How many of you have visited the Meenakshi temple? If you happen to visit Madurai, I think this is kind of a must. Everybody does visit the Meenakshi temple. It's just beautiful with the colorful temple top. I'll show it to you in the next slide. Can I change the slide? Can I move on to the next slide, please? So here you can see the fine carvings. It is so intricately designed, the carvings, the colorful images, the deities, you know, the goddess deities, everything has been so fine-tunedly made. You can see the expertise of the sculptor, the god figurines, the other figurines, and even the designer aspect of the temple. It's just amazing. Okay, and it is one of the 7 wonders of the world. We definitely consider that it is one of the 7 wonders of the world. The first word in this page is dawning. Dawning means owning or following the Dravidian style of architecture. So if you have read somewhat history in school, you will know what is the Dravidian style of architecture. And the Meenakshi temple has been built on the basis of that style. Shrine is basically where you keep it as a memory of those who died that place. So when you visit a shrine, like we have Gandhiji's shrine here in Delhi, Rajghat, that's what a shrine would mean. You should remember, anytime you get stuck with a word, try and keep a dictionary with yourself. You find the meaning of the word then and there, because in doing that, you might just see 2 words above and 2 words below, isn't it? So that adds to your vocabulary. If you straight away ask somebody what is the meaning of X and what is the meaning of Y, you will get only one answer. This means this means that. Extra information ke liye, refer to a dictionary. Oh, lived in Madurai. Very good. So Pavitra is from Madurai. Okay, Tanvi, that's a good title. Okay, all of you are still making it. I'm waiting. Good, Palak, very well written. Yes, Yashwant, I'm reading yours. I always feel, when we are reading such stories, when we are reading such articles, we are also increasing our knowledge otherwise. Nobody in the class would have otherwise thought of reading about the Meenakshi temple. You will feel क्या करना है, इससे अच्छा एक चैप्टर अकाउंट्स का कर लेते हैं, या इससे अच्छा थोड़ा सा एफडीआई के बारे में पढ़ लेते हैं, या थोड़ा सा डायरेक्ट टैक्स कर लेते हैं. ठीक है, that is also important, but this kind of extra information is definitely adding to your knowledge. Title, Gautami, should not be very long. It should not be like a long sentence. Okay, Gauri, sixth point, I got it. Okay, Yashwant, you should say, I went to Madurai last year, not gone to. Okay. Okay, so I think most of you are done. I'll quickly say, I'll have to change my screen. So if you are done, can I stop sharing? Then we'll just recap, go through a recap, and then we are done with the class today. Okay, everybody is still writing. ठीक है. Good attempt, Sulakshana. Very good attempt, Ritu. Gauri, you have also done well. Ruhani has done really well. Palak has done well. Yashwant has done well. Good. So I think most of you have got the gist of it. Good job, Deepika. I'm happy. Gautami, dictionary, I told you. I didn't get your point, Sundaran. What are you trying to say? Okay, so if I keep reading the queries, I think it'll take me another 2 hours because queries keep coming. I'm just looking at the answers. Answers में अपूर्वा का आ चुका है, कृति का, जिया का, अंशिका आपने सिर्फ 1.1 तक पॉइंट लिखे हैं. रूहानी, of course, I've got yours. Okay. So you all have understood. Today we've done a linear style of note making for the 2 passages I showed. Next class, we'll try and do something more. The only request is please be attentive in class. Please try and attempt all questions. Everything is there in the study material, but you have to bother to open it. If there are any doubts in the study material for a specific question, if my class permits me with time, we will definitely see some of it towards the end of the class. But first thing, of course, we'll do the presentation because my intent is to tell you what exactly you cannot see in the study material, what you cannot understand in the study material. Okay, so if there is a question, if there is a doubt, please ask me. Secondly, start practicing a lot of questions because the only way you can excel in the BCR paper is with practical practice. Only reading the questions, going through the study material and saying, okay, मैंने ये पढ़ लिया है, it doesn't happen. The paper involves a lot of writing. And for writing, you should actually sit down and write. Sit and write your resume, sit and write an article, sit and write a report, sit and write a précis, make notes of any such topic which you think is relevant. There are a number of examples in the study material. Pick up any topic, and then you are very, very sure about your confidence. You are confident about your appearance and your performance in the exam. Okay. Okay, Asmita has given me something. ठीक है. Okay, good, Rishikesh. Mansi, I'm reading yours. Good, Harshita, good. Great, Sneha, thank you. Thanks, Chanchal and Manisha. Thanks, Lavina. Okay, Shazia, yours is like really, really long. I have to read it slowly, take my time because काफी ज़्यादा चीजें लिखी हैं आपने. So let me just go through it. Any other doubts in the note making chapter? Very important. What is note making? How should I make notes? Difference between note making and note taking. Difference between the styles of note making. One is linear, one is non-linear with examples. What is non-linear note making? Why and how you should make notes and making notes themselves, making notes on their own. These are some of the highlights of my class today. So if I ask you to give me a recap, these are the things which we did. We've discussed what is note making. We've discussed the difference between note making and note taking. You might get a question which says, define note making. What are the key elements of note making? So you should be writing what is note making. You should be writing it needs a title, it needs a summary, it should have a key with the extended meanings of the short forms used. Okay. You can use short forms which are made on your own as long as you mention the main meaning or you explain the full in the key. Without the key, note making is incomplete. Without the title, note making is incomplete. Without the summary, note making is incomplete. Okay. Yashwant, we'll discuss the study material in the next class. Okay, Aditya, your name is Aditya Rishikesh. I thought it's only Rishikesh. Okay, so I'll call you Aditya. Okay, thanks Sneha and thanks Harshita. Okay, so thank you so much for the class today. I hope you have been able to attempt note making to a level where you can at least attempt a question. For more doubts, we will definitely have another class. I have another session with you day after, which is the continuation of note making, the second part. We'll do it in more detail. If time permits, I'll also take you through the ICAI study material. I can share my screen and we can just go through a couple of questions. I would also request you guys to take a look at the study material. In case there is a doubt, you can discuss it in my class. Please remember, a lot of practice, a lot of self-practice, a lot of pen and paper practice. Is what is going to help you clear your BCR with good marks. Okay. On that note, thank you so much. Thanks for being a wonderful class. Thanks for being obedient. Thanks for answering all my questions. And have a nice day. I'll see you on Saturday with more details of note making. Thank you so much. Bye.